What is up, y'all? What's up, y'all? I'm gonna scoop back just a little bit. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of InTheImageClothingCompany. Today is the 28th of July, 2026. This is a video under our main side, one of the 4 sides to us as In The Image Clothing Company, where our slogan is allowing the body to work. This video's title, before I get into anything else, let's tell you the title. Before the airplanes can fly overhead and the wind can blow so loudly in the microphone. Okay. The adductors and the big toes. Okay. Clothing company, why? Why are we a clothing company? Our 5-word company name, In The Image Clothing Company. We're only a clothing company because clothing is the only thing physically placed onto the human being, okay? The literal word of clothing the body with anything. Hats, gloves, pants, shoes, socks, tops, undergarments, jewelry, glasses, okay? A bag over the shoulder? Sure, you're clothing your body. And the clothing on your body has the same effect on it from gravity that your body does, okay? There's only one way the human body could ever work. No new information, no breakthrough, no sales pitch. The body is just measurable mathematical degrees of hinges, levers, and rotations determined by the shape and length of our own individual bones connecting directly to each other through ligaments, okay? The bones are only the shape that they are. They're only the length that they are. Once we're full grown, the body really doesn't change and how it can function until we die. Muscles just pull on bones, and we pull on either side of a function. Even to extend a hinge joint, it's a pull of muscles. But we pull on either side to stabilize in the neutral or the centered position of every function. Okay, with different length 4 fingers wrapping evenly around a different length opposable thumb with an entirely different function than the fingers. Different length 5 toes we roll evenly off the end of within this universal human design. Well, there's a universal human design. Man, woman, tall, short, skinny, fat, any age, any part of the earth, any time period to ever be, you're just a human being. Okay. We talk about where clothing sits on the body very clearly under In The Image Clothing Company, because that's what it does. Clothing sits on the body with vertical gravity pulling down on us and our clothing at the same time. With gravity having the same effect on our clothing that it has on our bodies, and the literal word of clothing our bodies with anything being anything that could ever possibly alter us, there's a possibility for it to alter us. There's only one way the body could work, truly. You know, unless you change something like a surgical procedure to change the shape and or length of the bones. They just connect how they do. There's only one way they can mesh together, bro. I mean, ligaments directly connect bones. The body's a kinetic chain. Just bone to bone to bone, connecting through the entire body. It's all just one big old kinetic chain, mechanical machine placed onto this rock in space we call Earth. It's just only what it is, and always. That's it. There's only one way the human body could ever work. We can get into chronic patterning. So clothing can have all sorts of imbalances. Living in this modern man-made world placed onto God's natural earth, we've got a lot of things that are man-made when the body is God-made, designed in the image of God, in the image of Jesus Christ. We are a clothing company here so that we don't alter this body, okay? But here's the thing. Clothing can have all sorts of imbalances in it. Oversized clothing, pockets, zippers, buttons, rotating seams with robots stitching our clothing in modern 2026. It just didn't happen before we had the inventions of technology to do that. Collar seams and the collars of our tops just not even. You know, because the thing is, zippers interlock one side over the other, and that's an imbalance. Shoelaces, drawstrings. These are just ropes. Anything at all you could tie on or around the body, one side over the other, you'll twist the entire human being. Day after day, year after year. Chronic patterning, scar tissue, bone spurs, problems in the body get built up, trying to work around the only thing physically placed on us, the literal word of clothing, because Everything we do in our lives, waking and sleeping, we're doing it in and through the literal word of whatever we're clothing our bodies with. So, unnatural materials invented just tens of years ago and put into clothing at that time, at least. From today's date, the 28th of July, 2026. Damage the body. There's a lot of things going on. Tags in clothing, labeling, just sticking out, causing a physical gap protruding between our clothing and our body's organ we call the skin or the epidermis. Okay. There's only one way the human body could ever work. God designed the body to work. It just is a mechanical machine to take us across the earth with. The vertical pull to gravity comes down and meshes with the horizontal surface of the planet Earth, and it makes a 90-degree right perpendicular angle, okay? And from here, the bottom of our feet mesh on the horizontal surface of the planet Earth, and that's the neutral. So there's a neutral to the entire body, okay, with opposing muscles, but there's also a center line to the body that meshes with Earth's vertical gravity pull. Okay, the sternum, the spine, the trachea, the nose, the jaw, some of the things in the center line of the human being, meshing with the vertical pull to gravity. There's two sides to the body with even opposing musculature coming into the center line. There truly is only one way the human body could ever work. But, if we're just getting in imbalanced patternings, rather than having like the arms swinging forward and back when we walk, straight forward from the thumbs, if we have a rotation, external on one side of the body and internal on the other side of the body, now we're in an imbalance, okay? There's a lot of things just causing patterning in the body. But, clothing is physically placed on our physical bodies that are physically placed on this physical rock in space we call Earth. So there's only one way the human body could ever work. But let's talk about this. This video is titled, the 28th of July, 2026, under In The Image Clothing Company's main side, the adductors and the big toes. Well, the adductors are the leg muscles that pull the legs in toward the center line of the body. Okay. The big toes are the toes on the inside of the feet. Closest toward the center line of the body. Okay. So here's the thing. We've got even opposing musculature throughout the entire human being, as I've said in this, but just to reiterate. And here's the thing with the leg, okay, is that it can pull inward toward the center line of the body from the hip or the pelvic structure of the human being, really all the way down to the foot. These inner leg muscles, called adductors, pull the leg in, and even across the body, okay? We have outer leg muscles called abductors that pull the leg out and away from the body, okay? Inner leg muscles, adductors, the one in this video's title, the adductors and the big toes. Under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company here on the 28th of July, 2026. These adductors pull the leg in and even across the body. The abductors on the outside of the leg pull the leg out and away from the body, okay? But there's an even pull because there's a neutral to the entire body. And there's wind blowing. I'm just not trying to have too much sound besides the sound of my voice for the sake of the documentation in this video, okay? Yikes. So yeah, the adductors pull the leg in, and the abductors pull the leg out, okay? And there's this opposing pull, and we stabilize in the neutral. The pinky toe is straight forward because we do have different length 5 toes that we roll evenly off the end of within this universal human design. And so the pinky toe or the outside toe points straight forward, and then the leg can rotate inward or outward. Okay? Internal rotation And it can happen from just the foot up to the knee and these two bones in the lower leg, the tibia and the fibula, like the two bones in the forearm, the radius and ulna. Rotations can happen here, right? External as well, just from the foot to the knee with the rotation. But we straighten the entire leg, and we've got that neutral pinky toe straight forward, and then internal rotation or external rotation. Okay, but there's always a neutral to everything in the body. And when we're just standing up, or even laying down, really, you know, or even sitting like I am here, right, there's a neutral between the inner leg muscles, which go along with this video's title, on the 28th of July, 2026, under In The Image Clothing Company's main side, the adductors and the big toes. Well, these inner leg muscles called adductors, they pull the leg in, and the outer leg muscles, the abductors, pull the leg out, and we stabilize in this neutral position. Okay, pinky toes straight forward. Looks slightly different when I'm sitting here than if I were to be like standing, right? Just the position of the feet. Just meaning I understand my pinky toes aren't pointing like straight forward the entire time sitting here, but there's just this even pull of abduction or adduction. Abduction or adduction. And the adduction, or pulling the inner leg muscles together to pull the legs in toward the center line of the body, also brings the big toes in toward the center line of the body. Okay? Because the adductors are on the inside of the legs, and the big toes are on the inside of the feet. Physics, right? I mean, the human body truly is just a physical machine. Oh my gosh. Ah, shoot. It's just so crazy how real it is. There's only one way the human body could ever work. I mean, we pull the abductors, or the outer leg muscles, out, and the pinky toes go out because they're on the outsides of the feet, like the abductor muscles on the outside of the legs. You pull the inner leg muscles in, the adductors, and it pulls the big toes in because the big toes are on the inside of the feet. But you know what's pretty easy to do is relax. And when you relax, Earth's vertical gravity pull pulls us down and out. I spat a little bit as I said that. But it does. It pulls us out away from our bodies. I mean, just imagine you doing this, or watch me do it, okay? And then you wouldn't have to imagine it. Just sitting here, right? And if I just relaxed all the musculature in my body, my legs would just drop out because gravity will just pull down on them. And just because of the shape of the bones in the body, gravity will just pull the legs out. And it's essentially the same position as activating our abductor muscles, the outer leg muscles. Gravity will just do the same thing. My voice cracked, seriously. The 28th of July, 2026. This video's title, under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company, the adductors and the big toes. Okay, so let's talk about this, because what these adductor muscles are doing, even standing, even though it might not seem like it, but you can see it easier here sitting, but even just sleeping as well, or whatever position you are in life, the adductor muscles are actually opposing Earth's vertical gravity pull. They're pulling us up and in when I'm sitting down like this, because otherwise gravity pulls my legs down and out. The adductors, or the inner leg muscles, pull my legs up and in. Okay? So, yeah, this video's titled, the 28th of July, 2026, under In The Image Clothing Company's main site here, the adductors and the big toes. Well, the feet. Grip arches inward, okay? They oppose the center line of our bodies, which is the same as the center of Earth's vertical gravity pull, because there's two sides to the body and there's two sides to the centered pull to gravity as well, right? So these feet stabilize our bodies from our foundation by gripping arches inward. And a big part of that is just the shape of the toes, right? We've just got different length toes, 5 of them within this universal human design. And you can be different, but only from something can you be different, which is the universal human design. And also, we just have to do all that we can in our own individualistic situations to get as close as we can to the universal human design's physical functioning to physically function. Because we're dealing with universal laws, physics, gravity, things outside of all of us that we don't get to decide or change as human beings. We call these things truth, right? We don't get to decide or change truth as human beings. So don't believe me, but let me discuss some things just as they are, ideally. As the founder and leader for life of In The Image Clothing Company, me, Evan Strong, here we go, okay? The 28th of July, 2026, under In The Image Clothing Company's main site here, the adductors and the big toes, okay? Well, yeah. These feet, we just have different length toes, and they come from the outside toe, the pinky toe, being the farthest back and out. Then the toes come up and in toward the center line of the body, kind of like an arrow pointing forward. And the big toes, which is half of what we're discussing as far as the video's title goes, the adductors and the big toes. Hey, wind. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up with the wind? What's up with the wind? Why is it gotta come when I'm trying to have it not be so noisy? The big toes are the longest toes. They're on the inside of the feet. Okay? So when we activate these adductor muscles and it pulls those big toes together, well, that's what we're talking about in this case, is the big toes, the one on the inside of the feet, okay? There's your context. But what I'm saying is, you know, we roll evenly off the ends of our different length 5 toes, and so the feet slightly point in. Then we've got this neutral ankle position, whoa, and then we've got the pinky toe pointing straight forward, just like gravity pulling the leg down and just relaxing us, okay? Just like the wrist, if we just have gravity pull our hand down, it relaxes our wrist in a neutral position. Okay? There's only one way the human body could ever work. Gravity truly pulls us down into good posture. There's even mathematical opposing bends in the body from bottom to top to stay vertical on Earth's vertical gravity pull. Let me say this, even though it's windy, all right? I'm doing what I can. I really, really am. The ankles bend backward, the knees bend forward, the hips bend backward, the low back bends forward, the mid back bends backward, and the upper back, or just the neck, cervical spine, bends forward. Even back and forth bends have to be there opposing Earth's vertical gravity pull to stay vertical. It's just physics. And, you know, because of this, there's only one way the human body could ever work. Truly. Yes, truly. Truly. And we discussed it so thoroughly you couldn't possibly dispute the information that I don't get to decide, because every body who has one and every one who has a body is the same within this universal human design, unless you are different from that. But my point is, you know, the adductors and the big toes, they're both on the inside of the body. That's also this video's title, though, on the 28th of July, 2026, under In The Image Clothing Company's main site here. So, the big thing is, yeah, gravity will just pull us into abduction. Or pull the legs out. And that's what I'm saying, is a lot of this is just because the toes are different lengths, that when we grip an arch in the foot, and it gets taller, you know, the height of a gripped arch, if you will, we discuss under In The Image Clothing Company. As the foot arch grips like this, just like showing it with the hand, into that neutral position, it gets taller, okay? And there's an arch underneath it. That's what I'm saying. The arch rises up underneath it. Rising up. Wow, awesome. and the feet get taller. But then we've got that neutral, meaning taller than just collapsed, because the different length toes, they grip in and back because they're different lengths, and so that's just the angle they pull on, is inward toward the body and backward to stabilize us vertically on Earth's vertical gravity. I said gravity, but I meant to say gravity pull, okay? Wow. So anyway, you know, when the body activates, the feet arches rise. And as this happens, they grip inward, and as this happens, the big toes on the inside of the feet get closer to the center line of the body. And then we're neutral. We can walk and run and do all sorts of crazy things as this human being. It's just a mechanical machine. Today's the 28th of July, 2026. This is a video under In The Image Clothing Company's main site. The title is The Adductors and the Big Toes. Okay? Wow. This is kind of hard for me to get through. So welcome to the production. As in, like, it's a total show. I understand. Golly. I'm trying. I'm really trying. No, I love it. I really do, but I'm also really frustrated with a lot of things. Okay. So you pull the adductor muscles in. It pulls the big toes in. This grips the arches in the feet. Now we've got a neutral leg. Okay, and all the ways we could discuss the feet just being neutral, traveling up to the hips and the entire leg. There's only one way the human body could ever work. There's always opposing sides, you know. There's always a neutral. There's always only one way the human body could ever actually work. Otherwise, it's in a constant state of compensation. You know, if one part of the body's not working so well, everything else is like trying to, when everything just really has to play its own role to just work together. A constant state of compensation. You know, we don't want the body to be compensating. We don't want things to be trying to make up for the role of something else, because everything's got its own individual role. Everything's got its own function it plays within the body. And it has to do that all together, because everywhere any of the body goes, all of it comes. It works activated as a whole. Oh my goodness, is he a bodybuilder? No, I'm actually very slender currently. I don't even know what's going on with the way I'm approaching this video, but the information's here and it's valid. The 28th of July, 2026, under In The Image Clothing Company's main site here, the adductors and the big toes. Let's keep talking about this, okay? If we have anything in the way between our legs, the adductor muscles are going to have a hard time pulling. You know, and muscles only pull. So if the adductor muscles can't pull to work, pulling the upper legs inward toward the center line of the body, then traveling down, the feet arches can't grip in and back with those different length 5 toes, just on the angle that they grip the ground in, with good nails on the toe tips, just like good nails on the fingertips, to fully back and support the fingers and toes. Cut relatively flat on the tips to keep us in this neutral position, because the bones only are shaped the way they are, and only could ever possibly mesh and track in line. Otherwise, they wear out the cushioning between them, called cartilage, okay? So, yeah, there's only one way the human body could ever work. I'll just keep saying that until the day that I die, if I do, just because it's always the truth. There's no kind of new information or breakthrough. It's a mechanical machine. That's why our slogan here under In The Image Clothing Company's main site is allowing the body to work. I mean, if we get into deep chronic patterning, as I personally was, as the founder and leader for life of In The Image Clothing Company, we have to get out of the patterning that's built up in the body, scar tissue, bone spurs, things like this, problems, damage throughout the entire human being, because it's all a kinetic chain connected together through bones, muscles, tendons, and ligaments. I'm watching this wasp just crawl through the grass. But, you know, what I'm saying is, some good information. This video is titled the 28th of July 2026 under In the Image Clothing Company's main side, the adductors and the big toes. Well, we can start from the feet up to the hips, and as the feet grip these arches inward, the big toes come closer together. Really, they do, just because of the length and the shape of the toes, different lengths, and they kind of point in toward the center of the body and forward like an arrow with the different lengths. You know, we evenly roll off the ends of the different length 5 toes, and then we're neutral. Gravity just rests us there in that neutral position, okay? And while we're here, now that we've gripped the arches in the feet and the big toes have come closer together than just being relaxed, but the muscles activate in the feet, it actually activates the inner leg muscles, the adductors, up at the upper part of the upper leg. Well, the whole part of the upper leg, the femur, from the knee up into the hips, okay? So it's from the hips down to the feet, or it's from the feet up to the hips. Just meaning the whole leg is all one thing. It's like I'm leading music. Oh, In the Image Clothing Company music. One of our forwards to us, as In the Image Clothing Company. Seriously, okay? There you go. But, yeah, so the thing is, you know, you don't want things in between your legs, clothing-wise. I mean it. Like, hear me correct with this, seriously. If we've got baggy pants, or you've got just really thick seams in the crotch of your pants, you're not going to be able to pull these leg muscles in together, because sitting down like this is one thing. I've got more space between my legs here when I'm sitting down like this on the ground than if I were to be standing up and my legs were just vertical with Earth's vertical gravity pull. There's not much room between the legs. And then we've got people carrying fat content differently, okay, on top of their bones. You know, you've got muscle and fat. The thing is, though, the human body is about its bones. The bones always have to come first. Before muscle could attach to the bones to move the bones have to be there. But then also, before you can have any fat content placed onto this human being, it's got to have a skeletal frame or all these bones to have the fat content be attached onto, you know, for the body to have a frame to just carry it around with. Just meaning the body's all connected, but it's got to start at its very foundation, its very frame, which is the skeletal system. And so no matter how you do carry fat content, you know, and maybe you've got some bigger, wider legs than someone else, and you're trying to get your knees closer together to just track your legs in line forward and back, right, when you're walking or just standing, have this video's title really happen. You know, the adductors and the big toes, when the inner leg muscles on the upper legs, the adductors activate, the feet can also grip arches at the same time in the same position, you know, just all the whole leg working together to pull inward, different length 5 toes gripping arches inward and back, gripping the ground, inner leg muscles pulling the legs in, which pulls the pelvis underneath us, which works with the feet pulling back. This posterior rotation of the pelvis up in the front and down in the rear is the same as the feet gripping the ground with the toes pulling back and in and locking the heels of the feet down onto the ground in a sense, and just having this really like gripped position. Well, I love this video so much. The feet grip in and back. The inner adductors, the inner leg muscles on the upper legs, they pull in and essentially back and down too with the feet. It all works together. That's why I've titled this video the way that I have. On the 28th of July 2026, under In the Image Clothing Company's main side, the inner leg muscles here, which that's not what I've titled it because they're called the adductors and the big toes. Okay, the adductors and the big toes, they both come in. The whole leg does at the same time. When the body's working properly, and there is a proper way. There's only one way. The body's a mechanical machine. It's just this body of flesh and bone and blood. Once our bones are full grown, the body never does anything else besides just what it does. And really it's done the same thing since birth. We just get, proportionately larger when the bones grow, and also they're still kind of forming together and just becoming a bone, like a solid bone and permanent, just because we grew from just about nothing as a human being. And so once you get full grown, late teenage years, give or take for most people, your body will never do anything different. You'll never train your body to do anything besides just what it can do, determined by the shape and length of the bones connecting directly to each other through ligaments. It'll never do anything else. It's impossible without breaking a bone, rupturing a tendon or a ligament, or tearing a muscle or something. The wind is blowing. But anyway, yeah, the adductors and the big toes. Okay? The adductors and the big toes. I mean, they just pull inward and essentially back and down too, if we could see that. I can. And I explained it. What I mean by I can, it's not like a prideful thing, like I know more than you. It's just, I don't really need to discuss it that thoroughly necessarily, but I kind of will say it again to be clear on what I mean. The toes grip in and back and drop the heels down. Now the big toes come inward. The adductors grip in and essentially back and down with the pelvis, and everything in the body just comes in, back, and down, and you're locked in place, bro. Like this. Okay? And now you're just solid. This video's title, on the 28th of July, 2026, the adductors and the big toes. They work together to pull in, back, and actually down. Okay, like a wrestler. Oh no! Oh no! That's awesome. That's so ridiculous. I say oh no because I knew I wasn't going anywhere with that besides just flopping down. And I don't know why that was the best thing to do, but I that felt right. I'm serious. That's funny. There's no way I was getting out of that, like landing on my feet. Anyway, it's the 28th of July, 2026, brother. Oh, I just almost can't believe it. So much so that I just really can't. It's crazy, there's only one way the human body could ever work. And it's not a prestigious thing. It's not a prideful thing. Why we're here, as In the Image Clothing Company, on our main site at least, here with our slogan being allowing the body to work, is to get people out of chronic patterning built up over time, and most directly through the most physically placed onto them thing, okay? Clothing, the literal wording, but then also even amputations and people with deformities and people with injuries and, major surgeries that they're healing from that they need to just heal properly because the body's just, what it is. It's a mechanical machine. This is why we're here as In the Image Clothing Company, only a clothing company, and since the founding, that's been the case as well, just to allow the body to work. So In the Image Clothing Company shoelace technique, and when we talk about keeping pants at the proper location, at the natural waist, and I'm not going to say much more in this video, partially because the sun's coming in and this device overheats, and then it sometimes has a hard time saving the videos that I've filmed, and I've got enough information in this video. I mean, well more than enough. I didn't expect it to be this great, truly, for the sake of the explanation and the visuals that you can see of what's being discussed here. So we'll leave it here. But In the Image Clothing Company podcast with discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ, we're on episode 213. As of today's date, the 28th of July, 2026, here comes the airplanes again. In the Image Clothing Company poodles, In the Image Clothing Company music, and here you are on the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. Check us out, the state of Utah, the United States of America, is where we're based. We do things that we do, things in nature, things with the dogs, in-person events. We give a lot of free modifications in clothing to not alter your body because there's a lot of damages happening to people's body through clothing. The literal word, right? Clothing the body with anything. In modern 2026 and going forth, there's so many things going on damaging our bodies, and we don't even know about it if we don't. We've got a lot of understanding and context we give freely here under In the Image Clothing Company, so stick around. We'll always have good clothing available to not to alter your body. Staying centered, fitting correct, and being made in all the ways we can from 100% natural materials at baseline. simple, minimal, light, brandless on the exterior clothing under In The Image Clothing Company. Just stuff that we actually need because of all the reasons that we do. So thank you and goodbye.